Good morning, boys and girls. This week we are studying geometry. Geometry means the study of shapes. And after this week, you will be able to say, I can describe the attributes or characteristics of 2D and 3D shapes and objects. That's what you're going to be learning, and you have already learned some things about 2D shapes, boys and girls. Earlier this week when we looked at 2D shapes, we learned that shapes have something called attributes or characteristics. There are defining attributes and non-defining attributes, friends. Defining attributes are those characteristics that a figure must have in order to be called a shape. And we said that 2D shapes have 3 of them. They need 3 of the defining attributes, and they were lines. It has to have straight lines that connect to each other, but sometimes a shape can have a curved line, like in a circle or in a heart, right? But usually it's straight lines that connect to each other. We also know that in order to be a shape, the figure has to have 4 corners, or remember we called that fancy name vertices. That's where the lines meet and form a corner. And then we said that all lines had to touch. Remember that? So we could not have something that looked like that and call it a square, because friends, is that a square? No, because it has an opening right there. So it is an open figure. It's not closed. And in order to be a shape, it has to be closed, boys and girls. So look at my shape that I drew right there. That shape is a square. I know it's a shape because it has 1, 2, 3, 4 connecting straight lines. They connect right here at the corners, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's all touching. There's no open spot, so it is a shape. Now, we also learned that they can have something called non-defining attributes, and that's where we look at size, color, or the way a shape is facing. So friends, right here, the non-defining attributes of my square would be a white square with blue lines, and I would have to say that's a pretty big square, and it's facing this way. If it's facing this way, is it still a square? If it's facing this way, it's still a square. If it's facing this way, it's still a square. Those are the non-defining attributes. So a shape does not have to have a color. It does not have to be big or small, and it does not have to be facing a certain way in order to be called a shape, boys and girls. So those were the non-defining. They don't really matter characteristics of 2D and 3D shapes. Today we're looking at 3D shapes. So you already should have watched the video introducing 3D shapes and seeing how they are different from 2D shapes. That was a fun video, wasn't it? So now let's look at the attributes or characteristics of the 3D shapes. They have something that's called faces, edges, and vertices, boys and girls. So if I have a cube, let's look at the cube first. And a face is a part of the shape that I can put my hand flat on. So right here, that is called a face. It's a flat part of the 3D object. So has faces, it has edges. Edges hold the faces together. It's kind of sharp. Think of the edge of a table or a desk. Right here's an edge. And then it has, remember that fancy name for corners, vertices, right here, where the 2 lines meet. Now, 3D objects have lots of faces, lots of vertices, and lots of edges usually. And when I say lots, it's more than 1 or 2. Okay, so let's look at the cube. You can see that we have a poster of a cube right there, a green cube, and it says that it has 6 faces. So let's check it out and see. Let's count all these flat parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and on the bottom here, 6. So it has 6 flat faces. And then it says it has 8 vertices or 8 corners. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 at the top. 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 vertices or corners. But now let's look at the edges that it has, those lines that are holding the faces together. There's quite a few, boys and girls. I'm going to start at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So there are 12 edges. That is a lot of edges on a cube, boys and girls, like that. So that's a cube. Where can you find a cube at your house? I found a cube at my house with a dice. A dice is a cube, right? Next, let's look at the rectangular prism, boys and girls. It's right down here, rectangular prism. Remember, a rectangle is a lot like a square where it has 4 lines or 4 sides. And the rectangular prism says it has 6 faces, just like the square. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 faces. It says it has 12 edges. Let's count and see if it's the same as a square. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So it does have 12 edges, and it says it has 8 vertices. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4 at the bottom, okay? Where could you find a rectangular prism in your house, boys and girls? I found one right here, a bar of soap or a box with a soap in it. That is a rectangular prism. It has a face, it has edges or edges, and it has corners or vertices, boys and girls. Corners, vertices, edges, and faces. Any box like that. Could a box of spaghetti be a rectangular prism? Yes, it could. Next, let's look at the sphere. On our poster right there, it says that a sphere has no faces. It doesn't. It doesn't have any flat parts that I can put my hand on. It just goes around. So it doesn't have any faces. Does it have any corners or vertices? Sure. No, it doesn't. And does it have any edges? No. But it's still a 3D object because it pops out. And remember from the video, can I clap? I can't clap, can I? No, it pops out, so it is a 3D object. Boys and girls, you might have a ball at your house that's a sphere, a basketball or a baseball, or even a pom-pom is a sphere. Next, let's look at a cone. That's the purple right here, right there. There's a cone. On the poster, and here's my cone, it says a cone has 1 face. It has 1 flat part on the bottom. See that? Flat part on the bottom. It has no edges, does it? It just kind of goes smoothly around. Doesn't have any edges. It has 1 vertex or a corner right here at the top. Okay, that's a cone. Where could you find a cone at your house? Well, how about an ice cream cone like that? That's a cone, isn't it? It has the flat bottom and it has the vertex at the top. That's a cone. Next, let's look at a cylinder. Right over there, the blue poster, cylinder. So here's my cylinder from class, friends. And a cylinder has 2 faces, 1 at the top and 1 at the bottom. It has no edges, it's smooth all the way around, and it has no corners or vertices, does it? So that's a cylinder. Here's a cylinder. A can is a cylinder. And then, friends, let's look at the last figure that we have. It is the pyramid. And here's my pyramid. A pyramid has 5 faces or flat parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It has 5 faces. It has 1 square face. It has 1 vertex at the top, and it has 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 edges, okay? Now, boys and girls, a pyramid is hard to find in my house. I have a tent that's a pyramid, but friends, can I bring a tent inside of my house? No, I cannot bring a tent inside of my house. So see if you can find a pyramid at your house, boys and girls. And that is it for 3D shapes. See what you can find at your house. Have fun doing the worksheets, and we'll talk about it tomorrow.